Alright YouTubers, what's happening? We got a new video for you today. We're looking at an Artisian Cutlery knife. This is the small Archaeo. And before I get into the knife and such, we're going to go over the cool packaging. You get this box, but you get this huge like metal tin, which is pretty neat. And you get a padded case, obviously, with a double-sided, and it's got some nice like fleece lining there. And then you get a little card with your specs on your knife. This is the model 1821 GSD, M390 blade steel frame lock, ceramic bearings, and titanium. So all kinds of cool stuff in there, warranty information. It's a really cool packaging. I mean, these Chinese companies, man, they give you some cool packaging. Give them that. All right, so let's talk about the knife, because packaging is only one thing, right? That's why you're buying this, is because of the knife. Let's go over the basic specs. You got a blade length of 3 inches, overall length of 7 inches, so you have a 4-inch handle. You have a Bowler M390 blade steel. Comes in this black titanium. You have a regular gray titanium. You have blue and green, so lots of different colors. Weighs 2.3 ounces, so it's very, very light and small. And it's more of a gentleman's type folder, or just an everyday carry folder if you like carrying smaller knives, which I typically do. Your width here is going to be pretty slim in the pocket, 0.46 inches, so very slim. And just the overall width with the knife shut is under an inch, 0.92. So very slim, very, very slim carry. Nice titanium pocket clip as well. All right, so let's do some size comparisons, and then we'll get into some more talking points here. So the small Sebenza would probably be the one that I really need to clean off my blade. I used this quite a bit recently. You can tell this knife sees a lot of use. Very, very similar in size to a small Sebenza. Another one that'll be familiar is the mini grip. This has got the titanium scales on it. Very, very similar in size, a little bit bigger than a mini grip. And the Monterey Bay Knives EZC is about the same size, a little bit smaller as well. So got a lot of good competition, a lot of good knives in this range of size. So so this is the smaller version. They make a larger version that has like almost nearly I think it's like a 3.8 inch blade, 5-inch handle, pretty big, pretty good sized knife. Before I get too far into my thoughts on the knife, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the designer. And it's actually really interesting because he's actually been a YouTube subscriber of mine for a long time. His name is Dylan Mallory, I believe. Let's see here. We've been messaging back and forth. And he said he's been following my channel for about 4 to 5 years now. So that's really cool that someone that's been following my channel has designed a knife and has had it produced by a knife company. That's pretty awesome. I was asking him a little bit about the name of the knife, where he kind of came on how it pronounced. It's Archaeo, like I said, and it's after the dinosaur, the Archaeopteryx maybe, based on the skull of the dinosaur. So that's what the knife is designed after, as a dinosaur, and that's the specific dinosaur. And he says most of mine's on the part of a dinosaur name. So that's kind of a cool little tidbit, right? That you may not have known about that. So you can check him out on Instagram under it's Mallory Designs, I think, MALLERY _D Designs, DSGNS, not quite Designs. That's his Instagram page for his design, and his other one is Sinister_Kane. So pretty cool that he has been watching my channel for a long time, watched my knife reviews. He's, and here he is. Here I am reviewing one of his actual knives. That's got to be pretty cool for him to see on screen. And I don't know that there's a lot of reviews on this knife yet, so hopefully there is. I know that the larger one I've seen some videos on and such, but this is the smaller one, and the larger one's a little too big for what I like, but this is definitely more my, well, I should say that I've bought some bigger knives recently. I just find I carry these smaller knives more often. Let's just put it that way. Alright, so let's talk about it. So this is my first Artisian Cutlery knife. Never tried the brand before. It was, it's another Chinese-made knife maker. I mean, there's so many of them these days. I don't even think I could name them all. I don't think I could possibly remember to name them all. But just another one coming out of China, and they are producing really high quality stuff. I don't think they may have some budget model stuff. It's typically where these companies kind of introduce themselves is in the budget line, and then they kind of go big with the premium stuff. I don't know, the Artisian Cutlery has a ton of budget stuff. So let's talk about fit and finish of this knife. I would say it's good. You know, comparing it to like a Kaiser, definitely in the same realm. Wee knives, I would say Wee's a little bit better on the fit and finish. And Riot is the gold standard for Chinese companies. Well, seriously, almost the gold standard for any company these days. But I would say it's right there, right around where Real Steel's at, and Kaiser, and those Chinese brands. So it's very, very similar and comparable to those. Not that it's bad in any way, but it's just not as refined, I don't think, as and nice as maybe like the Riot and the Wee knives. But it's very close to Wee. So it's good. It's definitely worth the money. Now you're looking at $225 on this guy. When you consider the titanium, the carbon fiber, M390 blade steel, that's a pretty good deal. Definitely a good deal. And we'll talk about that more in value. So the fit and finish is nice. The pivot is pretty interesting. This is like the Artisian Cutlery design pivot. You can see it here on the blade, and then on the pivot. That's a pretty cool touch. And then you've got the Mallory Designs logo on this side. So very small logo. And then you've got tons of tiny little writing up here. It has the serial number and the design by Dylan Mallory, and it's got a little too much writing for my liking. You got his logo. Why not just keep that? I'm pretty sure that's his logo. Let me double check on his Instagram. But the other one's the Artesian Cutlery. I'm like 99.9% sure on that. Yeah, that's the Mallory Designs logo on that side. The logo makes sense because it's an M. But so you know, not too much logos, but a little bit too much on this side. But it's such small writing that you probably won't notice it. The finish on the titanium. This is like like a black coated. I don't know if it's PVD or what it is, but it's nice. It's definitely doesn't feel like super nice or anything, but it doesn't feel cheap either. So the way the knife's put together is good. I took it apart, disassembled it because it was not the best action. We'll get into that. I mean, you can see it's a lot better now, but it wasn't the best out of the box. So the fit and finish, I'd say, is good. Nothing like crazy, like wow, this is a game changer, but nothing bad either. The carbon fiber is done really well. The inlay is nice and seamless. There's no like gaps or anything, so this is done really nicely, and the carbon fiber is nice. So I'd say it's definitely good. Good fit and finish. Ergonomics, let's talk about that. Well, let's actually, before I get into that, it does have a steel lock bar insert, and the lockup has been really good at about like 35%. Hasn't moved an inch. Can't push the lock over or anything like that. ZT. So it is really finish is good on this. Perfect. The ergonomics are good. You look at this handle and you wonder, how's that going to work? And you get it in hand, for me anyway, and I say that with a caveat, for me anyway, it's really good. It fits nicely in the hand. That little hump right here, I think, has some people concerned, but that's kind of where your so you got your two fingers up here, and I think this is the way I look at it. Your two fingers go right here in this area for me, and then my back two fingers go on this hump, and that little corner doesn't. You don't even notice. It goes right into your index, right into the like pit of your finger, and you don't even notice it. It's super comfortable for me. Now I have medium-sized hands. If you have large hands, hey, he made a larger version, so there you go. If you have large hands and want to carry a really small knife, then you could do that with this one as well. I think it would work, depending on how fat your fingers were. I think it's more about how fat your fingers are than how long they are. So good ergonomics on this knife. I think someone mentioned in a preview I had of this knife that that this was a sharp point, and it's really not. It's well rounded right here and right here, so you don't feel any sharp points. I don't feel them anyway at all. So maybe for someone else's hand though, that could be different. That is the thing about knives. Not all knives fit everyone's hand. No issues or hot spots or anything like that I could find. So. There is jimping right here on the top of the blade, which is nice. Your thumb goes there naturally. It's not overly aggressive. It's not real grippy either. It's probably more for aesthetics, but it does function. It is functional. Aesthetics of the knife. I think it's really good looking. I've always liked this design, but it was always just a little too big. So I'm glad they came out with a small one. The hardware is just kind of your standard, stainless steel, satin finish kind of hardware, so it goes well. I would like, the all black would have been cool with this, but with the satin blade, it looks fine. So it is aesthetically pleasing. It's a good looking knife. I like the blade shape quite a bit. The design really flows well. I feel it's got a nice line, you know, going from here. How the lines flow works really nice. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, nothing, you know, out there, but it is aesthetically pleasing. So let's talk about the action. When I first got it, the action wasn't the best. Like, I couldn't do that. It flips really well. It's got a pretty strong detent. So the knife flips excellent, but it wasn't like, you know, dropping shut or anything. It was kind of just like kind of stiff almost. So I took it apart, cleaned it, oiled it with some knife pivot lube and some KPL, and it's a lot better. I mean, the flipping action is good, but now I can kind of, you know, get it to shut like that. It's still not like the best action on a knife ever, but it is a pretty small blade. One thing I want to talk about real quick, I didn't do in the description, is the blade stock is only 0.127, and your thinness behind the edge just comes up, and sometimes I forget to do it, so I want to do it right now. I know it's kind of out of place. It's 0.025 behind the edge, so pretty thin blade stock and pretty thin behind the edge. Alright, sorry, back on the action. So it does flip really well, and then if you do a little cleaning and some lube, you're going to be able to get it to have a pretty decent action. Not the best, but not the worst. So definitely a nice flipping though. If you don't care about having a drop shut action or anything, then you're going to be fine because it flips excellent. Alright, so we talked about sliceability, and I actually kind of jumped ahead of myself. You know, that's pretty thin behind the edge. I found that I use this quite a bit for EDC tasks and such, and it did just fine. I mean, it wasn't like anything to write home about, but it wasn't like, you know, I didn't feel like it wasn't cutting well because it's too thick or anything. It did everything just fine. It's a light use knife, you know, and that's kind of what I used it for. So it's a pretty good slicer, and it has a really fine tip. And that's one thing that I used it for, was using that tip to get into kind of tight spaces and stuff. Was really handy, actually. I like that. So I like the blade shape, and I like, you know, how thinly rounded it is. It's a pretty good slicer. How does it carry? So let's take a look in the old cut-off jeans, simulated pants, we'll call it. And there you go. The clip, it works really nice. I mean, it doesn't carry real deep or anything. You got that much of your knife sticking up, but it's got good retention, and it's really easy to get on off the pocket. And that's really all I typically look for, as long as that it doesn't create any hot spots, which you don't even feel the clip at all. So it carries nicely, and it's very small and slim and lightweight, and you're not going to even notice it in your pocket. It's that good. I've carried it in slacks, I've carried it in sweatpants, I've carried it in jeans, and it carries it well everywhere. So it's a very versatile knife when it comes to that. If you're carrying it in basketball shorts or something like that, it's gonna, you know, you're not even gonna notice it's there. So your 250, what would I say, 240, 240 something? 220, no, that's even better. 228.55. And so if you use my discount code at White Mountain Knives, which I'll leave in the description below, it's EDCMWK. It brings it down, you know, quite a bit. A couple bucks, saves you a couple bucks, and you get free shipping. So you'd be, what's 228? $205. I mean, it gets you down to like the $205 range with that discount code, guys. That's a good deal. So use that discount code if you want to get one. I'll leave a link in the description below. I think they have the blue titanium in stock. I'm not sure about the other colors, but definitely a good value, especially with that code. It makes a big difference. I want to thank White Mountain Knives again for giving us that code for the channel. Really helps, you know, the viewers when they want to buy things, and it helps the channel. So that's great. So what's the X factor on this knife? For me, it's getting to know the designer a little bit, and to know that he's a current subscriber and longtime viewer of my channel, and he's a big knife nut, and he designed a knife, and that's really cool. I like the design, I like the looks, I like how the name came about. Knowing all those kind of things for me is kind of what makes this knife a little bit more special, and more likely for me to carry it and use it and keep it in the rotation. That's kind of the X factor. So. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up the video. Any questions or comments, leave them down below. Make sure you use that discount code White Mountain Knives, and we'll see you next time.